What's up, everybody? My name is Cody Rattler, and welcome back to episode 9 of the Ultimate Favorite Pokemon Picker. All right, we are technically at the finale. Not quite. I mean, this is episode 9, so today we're going to be going over the Paldean region, Scarlet and Violet, the most recent Pokemon generation to come out. On that note, I got to imagine most of us that are watching are probably familiar with these Pokemon. As far as my Twitch community goes, I've streamed this game a small handful of times, so plenty of you guys that are watching right now should recognize a lot of these Pokemon, but in general, if you happen to be on the YouTube side, I'm sure a lot of these are going to stand out for you as well. This is the game that's happening right now, you know? We're about to get some DLC. It's going to still be happening through the rest of this year and well into next year. Okay. Let's dive in. We're going to start with the normal type, as always. Normal type Gen 9. First up, we got Lechonk, the chonky little boy. This was one of my favorite announcements when they showed it. I think the internet just went wild. Everybody loves Lechonk. If you have any shit talking to say about Lechonk, you keep that to yourself. I don't want to hear it. I think all of us will protect Lechonk at all costs. Then we have Mousehold, who... It's kind of a gimmick Pokemon. It has like that special ability to hit 10 times in a row. It's seen a lot of online use. We have the Small-Live line. I also love Small-Live, introduced at the same time that Lechonk was. Squawkabilly is a multicolored bird. It's pretty cool. It's kind of 50 styles haircut. This is one of my favorite poison types. I don't think I'm going to select this one for the normal category. I might hold off for poison here because I really do like Grafaiai. Little guy. He's a little beast. We have Cyclizar, we have the Faragirif, and then we have Dunsparce. Looking at this list, I think it's a fair clean cut. We're finally going a pre-evolution. Well, I say that as if I haven't picked pre-evolutions already a few times, but this time I'm not going for Porcaloin or Oinkalone, I think is what it's called. Oinkalone is the evolution. No, we're going with Lechonk, the chonky little boy. Chonky little pig. Fire up next, we have the Tauros variant. So again, in recent episodes, we were talking about how they had variants in Alola, they had variants in Galar, they have variants in Paldea, and Tauros saw some pretty sick variants. I love to see the love for Tauros because it really hasn't held up since Gen 1. And even in Gen 1, it wasn't like my go-to Pokemon. And then we got the Fire Starter, the little Croc, arguably one of my favorite starters. It might take my Fire Starter, or my favorite starter for this generation, Fuecoco. I love him. But then there's Charcadet, also the two evolutions, the Scarlet and the Violet exclusives. We have Cerulege and Armarouge. But we have a first Grass and Fire type, which is really cool. Then we have our future form of Volcarona and the fourth, or one of the four pseudo-legendaries. No, regular legendary? I don't even know what you'd call them. The fish, little fire fish Pokemon. I really do like Charcadet. Evolutions are sick. As much as I love like Fuecoco's line, I'm probably gonna hold off because I think it wins my starter. However, looking at these, I think Cerulege is just one of the coolest badass designs that we've had to date. Just the pure flames and the ghost and fire. I mean, I love ghost type too. You guys have heard me say it a million times. I think I'm gonna give it to Cerulege. Cerulege wins Fire Gen 9. All right, let's take a look at Water Gen 9. All right, so we've got once again Tauros, saw the variant. We got our Quaxly line. We have Wiglet. This is not a variant of Diglett. This is a separate species. It exists separately from Diglett. Not to be mistaken with regional variants, a Tauros that came over to this area and adapted to the area. No, this is Wiglet. Has nothing to do with Diglett. There's a mere coincidence that it happens to share a resemblance, an uncanny resemblance. These are called convergence Pokemon, which I'm not going to pretend like I'm a convergence specialist. Then we have our Palafin line. Oh, Palafin's so cool. The hero. My hero, Macadamia. I was going to say Aeroscuda, but we already saw that in the last episode. I'm forgetting. Barascula? No, I can't remember. This fish is annoying. This thing just like high speeds you. If you're in the water and this thing sees you, it's pretty much going to catch up and get your ass. Then we have the Donzo. The big ass whale, I guess. And its companion, Tatsuguri, which is a really cool combo. I love the gimmick between both of them. Then we have our future variant for Delibird, and then the past variant for Suicune, which is really cool because we only got this like not even 2 or 3 weeks ago. So shout out again, whoever made this tracker, you are on it. You're not skipping a beat when it comes to making sure we've got our up-to-date Pokemon. Now back to the question, who's my favorite water Gen 9? I think I gotta give it to the Dolphin. I think Palafin is so cool. Not the most ideal for Terra Raids because its ability requires you to switch out, and you can't do that in Terra Raids, but in normal battling, this thing hits like a truck. It is a superhero of a Dolphin. And yeah, I think by default, it's gonna trump everybody else. Although again, really good shout out the Donzo and Tatsugiri, awesome combo. I love this Suicune thing that we've got. What is it, Waking Tail or something? All right, I'm gonna go with the Palafin. That's the evolution, right? Palafin. The evolution looks exactly like the pre-evolution. It just has a heart. This is just the hero form. Okay, what do we got in our Grass Gen 9? Woohoo! The starter. I feel like all 3 of these starters are excellent. I'll pose a question to you guys real quick in chat that are here. What is your favorite starter? I'm jumping ahead, but I'm curious. I love all 3 of these. Quaxley might be on the lower end for me. All right, so we've got our grass starter. Back to Smoliv, a beautiful little olive Pokemon. Some of my favorite variants to any Pokemon to date was this Tentacool. This is Toadscool and Toadscruel. It's a grass ground variant instead of water poison. Let me correct myself, it's not a variant. This is another convergence Pokemon. So just like Wiglet and Diglett, this has nothing to do with Tentacool. Just happens to share characteristics. Back to our Skullvalen and its pre-evolution. Well, this was our one of the 4 legendaries. We have the past form of our Amoonguss, and then the future form of Virizion. Honestly, I really like that Virizion design. All the future forms are really cool because they're like basically robots. You can't beat those shiny robots because they're just chromed out. Like they lose all their core color. Ugh, it's clean. As far as grass, I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Toadscruel, and I'm gonna make it shiny because I really like it shiny. All these Pokemon are really good. I like them, but this is probably my favorite like convergent and variant that we've seen. If you classify them all together, I love it. I think it's so cool. And just to show you that it's shiny, it's like a witchy purple. It's so cool. And then seeing it run on all its like legs, oh, I love it. I love it. Next is our electric Gen 9. So we have our Pawmi line. Once again, we consistently have Pikachu clones. Pawmi is filling that void for this generation. We have our Belly Bolts, chonky little frog. It's electric and, oh, it's just electric, isn't it? Kilowattrel, really cool Pokemon. This was on my core team as well throughout Scarlet and Violet. Then we have the past form for Magneton. We have the future form for Hariyama, future form for Tyranitar, and then we have Miraidon as our legendary for Violet. So I'm going to hold off on legendaries. Probably going to hold off on my Paradox. No, I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm going to intermix Paradox Pokemon. I think they count. I don't want to count them as gimmicks. I want to count them as like core Pokemon from this generation. I've been holding off on like gimmick and legendary as we go through this chart because there's those categories in the end, but you know, I want to keep this open to the Pokemon that they really are their own standalone. These aren't gimmicks, they are standalone Pokemon. They're special, but they're standalone for sure. So that being said, I'm gonna go the Tyranitar. I really do like this Hariyama. I think I probably use the Iron Hands more online, or not even online, but in the Terra raids, but I really love that like Mecha Godzilla type Tyranitar, you know? And just to show you guys what the shinies look like, it's all chromed out. So it loses that like green that the Tyranitar has, but it's so cool seeing it all silver and then still having the lights, you know, glow. Ugh. Alrighty, Ice Gen 9, let's go. All right, so we have our Sea Titan and Sea Toddle or something. What was the first one's name? Sea Titan's the superior in my opinion, but the little guy's cute. He's a cute little guy. Delibird, back at it again. I feel like I've seen Delibird like in every category. He's just sneaking in. He's like, please pick me. Please, for the love of God, I've got presents. Baxcalibur, right? This one was also on my team. I freaking love Ice Dragon. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, and then we have the Sabertooth, which is a badass. Again, I don't really know. Do you consider these legendaries? They're kind of like our legendary dogs. There's 4 of them. What do you call them? Are they mythic? I don't know. I have no clue. For me though, okay, so I love Sea Titan. I love Baxcalibur. I love that Sabertooth. I think this is the coolest out of those 4. It's like an ice Sabertooth weasel. It's got swords for fangs. That's so cool. Like icicle blades. That's a really sick design. Although I think I might give it to the Ice Dragon. Sea Titan's really cool too. I don't know who's on our dragon category. I might regret this later, but Baxcalibur is really freaking sick ice Pokemon. Fighting Gen 9. All right, so we have our 3 Tauros line. All 3 of these are brand new. They're all fighting type. These last 2 are fire and water. All 3 have fighting though, which is really cool. Arguably one of the most uncreative Pokemon names and maybe even Pokemon designs. As much as I love Flamigo, it is Flamingo minus the N. Flamigo, like amigo with flamingo. Creative play on words, right? It literally is a flamingo Pokemon. There's no gimmick. It's just they threw a flamingo into the Pokemon universe and called it Flamigo. Ooh, boy, though. We have our Annihilape, which is a really cool evolution to Primeape. So, again, I love that they kind of added those things. Like in Gen 4, we saw like Rhyperior. Rhydon never had an evolution, just like Primeape never had an evolution. But now, Annihilape picking up that Ghost type too. That's really cool. Ghost and fighting. One of the best Paradox Pokemon to date. We've got our Great Tusks and Donphan. And then a couple more variants. We've seen our Iron Hands. That is another Volcarona variant. We have Iron Valiant, which it might be the best. It might be the best of the Paradox. I know I was just saying that earlier, but it might be the best. Oh, and then there's Koraidon, which I'll be breaking my own rules by picking Koraidon on this legendary thing, but all things considered, when I hop online and I'm doing Terra raids, any fighting Pokemon or anything that requires fighting, I am absolutely bringing in my Koraidon. A heavy hitter. Like, he packs a freaking punch. I probably gonna break my rule early and go ahead and pick Koraidon. Amazing. I love it. Did anybody get Scarlet or did you guys get Violet? Which one did you get? Tell me. I must know. Poison type, there's our Grafaiai. Poison Gen 9. Ooh, we have Reveroom and then Varoom. And then we have the Rock Poison. Let's see, what was it called? I did get a shiny of this Pokemon, Glimmet. And then I forget Glimmet's evolution name. Oh, we have a Wooper's variant. So this is another No, this is not Convergence. This is a variant. So this is actually Wooper. This is Paldean Wooper. Much like Galarian Meowth, you know? And then our future Volcarona form. Iron Moth or something like that. Let's see. I think between these Pokemon... I mean, I love this cute little Wooper. Look at how derpy he is. He's got crossbones instead of like the little side things that the original Wooper had. He's got crossbones. I think I might grow Grafaiai. Reveroom's really cool, but I didn't really use it too much throughout my playthrough. And then I like Glimmet's evolution. But I might go the Grafaiai. He was also a core member on my team throughout the entire game. Not necessarily the strongest or best Pokemon, but I love him. He was really cool. I was so hyped when they announced it earlier last year. All right, we're going to give it to Grafaiai. Next up is our ground type for Gen 9. Let's go. So I've already picked my Toedscruel. There's our Wooper line again. Great Tusks. And we continue to go back to our Paradox Pokemon. I forget that this is electric and ground. Our Magnemite Paradox. We have Iron Treads compared to the Great Tusk. And then this was another one of those 4 legendaries. This one, honestly, I was like kind of taken back when I saw their designs. The way that I describe this Pokemon, the way that I see it, it's kind of like a deer or like a bull type creature, but it's got a giant guacamole bowl on top of its head. What are those things called? You know what I'm talking about, like the actual bowl which you make the guacamole in. There's a name. That's exactly what this thing is. It has a giant guacamole bowl on its head. I think I might give this to Great Tusks. Great Tusk is pretty badass. Again, I really like that Toedscruel, but I already picked it, so Great Tusk is probably gonna win that. I think it's something about like that prehistoric Donphan. Donphan's a really cool Pokemon. Did Donphan win my ground? It did. Shout out to Donphan. Won my Gen 2. So yeah, we got some more Donphan love in Gen 9. Flying type Gen 9. So our Squawkabillies, our Kilowattrel. This one's a pretty small category. I might go the Hydreigon, honestly. I didn't really care too much for the Squawkabilly. It's a cool design. I didn't use it in the game. I did use Kilowattrel as my core team, so I do like it. But I really like that. I love Hydreigon. It won previous category for me, and a future Hydreigon is just future badass, right? Man, these freaking Paradox are like taking it for me. I'm leaning Paradox on all these. Moving right into Psychic Gen 9. Back to Armarouge. We have our Dung Beetle that holds a Psychic Ball of Turd. We have our Flittle in the Ostrich evolution. I'm spacing on what Cleopatra's name is. Back to the fish that I can't name. We have Faragariff. We have the prehistoric form, the past form of Jiggly. What was this thing called? Screamtail. What a name. Can you just imagine instead of singing, this thing just screams? That's god-awful. And then we have a future form, Verizon, as I like to call it. Who is my favorite Psychic Gen 9? I'm surprised. There's really not a whole lot. Honestly, I didn't even know that the fish was Psychic. It must be Water and Psychic. I had no clue. The more you know. Yes, I completed the Dex. No, I don't remember that being a thing. I think I'm giving this to the Verizon. Man, I'm just like loving Paradox today. Paradox all the way. So Spidops, we've got the crickets. I think it was low kicks is what it was called. The dung beetle kind of threw me off. I can't really like show you guys its face, but he's got like these weird little beady eyes. And yes, he's pooping around or pushing around some poop. And then yeah, the turd becomes a giant psychic ball. I don't really know how to justify that or talk it off, but and then we have the iron moth. Or not the iron, this is the prehistoric one. I'm forgetting what it's called. I think we're gonna give this one the low kicks. I think it's funny that we got a dung beetle, like one of the weirdest, most random Pokemon designs. Although again, we have an ice cream cone and a trash bag. We're gonna give it to low kicks. We are moving into Rock Gen 9. So I love Garganackle, another core member. So I only get 6 slots on my team, and I've told you guys who are my core members so far. Garganackle was on the core team. It's basically a Minecraft Pokemon. Imagine if they took a Mario mushroom, threw it in Minecraft, but then made it a Pokemon. Then we have our crabby boy, Cloth the Crab. Glimmet, and I'm forgetting Glimora, right? Glimora, was that its name? And then we've already selected Tyranitar. Now I gotta give this to Garganackle. Cloth is really cool, and I love Glimmet and Glimora, I think is what it was. Can't even look at Tyranitar, we've already picked him, but yeah, I gotta give this to Garganackle. Garganackle's so cool. Has a really sick ability too. One of the abilities that it has, it makes it to where it like halves ghost damage, which I guess like just throw in a ghost resistance. That's pretty cool. Also protects against like stat reduction, I think. This is really cool ability. I love it. Salty Pokemon. Salty as hell. Ghost Gen 9. So there's our Brambleghast again. Ooh, we have our Ghost Doggo on Houndstone, right? Annihilate. We have Fluttermane, prehistoric version of Misdreavus. Oh, we have Gimmighoul, Dugsdale Dimmadome, the owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Yeah, Goldango is just one of the coolest Pokemon to date. Such a unique design. Here I am Cinnamon. Let's freaking go. He surfs on a little like floating surfboard of golds, and when he moves, the gold coins stacked on his surfboard just like fly, you know, into the air behind him as he's going and just disappear. Everything he touches is gold. One of the more difficult Pokemon to acquire because you have to get 1,000 coins from its first form. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it to Gimmighoul. Or not Gimmighoul, Goldango. Gimmighoul is the first form. I really like the evolution more. This is the roaming form and then just the chess form. Stagnant, doesn't move very often. But yeah, ghost-wise, I think I'm going to go the Goldango. All right, we are going into our Dragon Gen 9 category. So we have Cyclizar, Tatsugiri. We've already talked about Excalibur. We have the Salamence, past form, Koraidon and Miraidon, and then there's our Waking Tales. Favorite dragon. I forget that Tatsugiri's dragon. This little sushi thing. Little sushi Pokemon. Little fish. He dragon type. I don't know. Who's my favorite dragon from this generation? I might have given that to Baxcalibur if I didn't already pick that for Ice type. I don't want to double up. I really, really do like Koraidon. Miraidon is also really cool. I don't have Miraidon because I have Scarlet. I was able to trade, so I've completed the Dex, but I don't have Miraidon on my game. I do have Waking Tail, though. It's pretty cool. I haven't used it much, but I did just get it recently. I think based on design alone, I might go for the Roaring Moon. That's right. Moving into the dark categories, so we got our Meowscarada. It's just a really cool Pokemon in general, right? It's like kind of like a trickster Pokemon. And then let's see, we've got our Mabosstiff is how you pronounce it. And then we have a lot of Titan, these are some, this is a Titan Pokemon, the Bombardier. We have the evolution for Bisharp. This is King Gambit. Also really cool third evolution to be introduced. Like, I love these. I've already said it probably even today. I love those third evolutions that get introduced later. That's fine with me. Let's go. And then we have some more of the prehistoric and future forms that I've kind of already talked through. So dark type, who is my favorite? Who do I like the most? Shout out though, these last 4, these are those 4 legendary I was talking about, and they all have, I'm sorry, these. We have the giant slug, the saber tooth, guacamole, and then the fish. All 4 of these are the legendaries. They all share dark type, and then they have their grass, ice, what is that, steel? And then fire variants. Maybe this is water. I don't know. One of these is water, I think. I might give it to Meowscarada. Nah, I think I might go King Gambit. Boss Shift's really cool too. I think I'm gonna go King Gambit. These are really cool Pokemon, and in order to evolve it, you have to like beat the alpha Pokemon in small groups. So like yours becomes the alpha and then evolves into the badass King Gambit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go King Gambit. Moving into the Steel type, Gen 9. So I love our Tinkaton line. It's so cool. This thing is probably like just one of the most ridiculous Pokedex entries. As goofy and like small as this thing is, it's got a massive hammer that it loves to use to swing and hit metal objects in the sky in an effort to knock out Corviknight. Corviknight is its enemy, and this thing hunts Corviknight. As a reminder, Corviknight being this metal bird, this badass metal bird from the Galar region, it fears this small pink thing with a hammer. I fear no man but that thing. All right, we have Reveroom, we have our worm Pokemon, Orthworm, we have our King Gambit, Iron Treads, and then Goldango. Now I gotta give this to Tinkaton. I do like our little engine Pokemon, pretty cool, but Tinkaton, come on, Tinkaton's gotta win. Fairy type Pokemon. Next up, there's Tinkaton again. Oh, there's our Fido Fancy. Tinkaton line, there's our Screamtail, Fluttermane, and Iron Valiant. So Iron Valiant is pretty freaking badass. You know, I might give it to Iron Valiant. I really like all these fairies. I think they're great. Fairy is one of the most, arguably, one of the strongest types. It's crazy to say that. Fairy is very strong. It's the newest type of Pokemon as far as types go, and it completely shat on dragons. It completely nerfed dragons. Yeah, we're gonna go Iron Valiant as our fairy type. Who do we have in our starters? So when I played, I've only played one file so far, one straight playthrough. And I picked Fuecoco. I think I'm going to go Scoldridge. I hope I'm pronouncing that right because it's kind of a harder one for me. But Meowscarada, probably my second favorite. And then Quaquaville. I can't even say its name, so it's going to be the third favorite out of those. Do we have any fans? Any of the Fuecoco line fans in the audience? What would you guys say? Who's your favorite for the starter? We're almost done with Gen 9, y'all. We're moving into the gimmick form for Gen 9. So these are our variants. So we got our little Wooper dude. These are both the regional variants, but also the convergent Pokemon. So you have our Tauros, which again, really badass. We have Wiglets not taking it. And then we have the Toads line, which already won my vote. So for me, this is going to be boiling down to the Wooper or the Tauros line. Little Wooper is such a cute little bastard. I love him. I don't know if I'm going to pick him over to Tauros, though. Wooper, cute little guy, adorable. But I'm so happy they made Tauros, like, really viable. That's so cool. This fighting type Tauros. I will say that I hate the shiny. I don't like the shiny at all because it's literally just an inverse of these two like dark colors. So it's like the mane is less dark and the body's more dark. It's just the opposite. It's so hard to see the shiny in the wild. But yeah, let's pick one of the Tauros. Who do I like the most? Regular Tauros, the fire, or the water? See, I've shit on fire and fighting in the past. I talked about how it wasn't my favorite type, but I do like that Tauros. The water one's pretty cool. I didn't have it. I think for simplicity, I'll go with the original. I think these are cool that we didn't just get one, but we got 3. And they're different than one another. All 3 are fighting, but we've added fire and water to the mix. We'll go with the original. I think this is best in my opinion. All right, we're at the second to last category, the legendaries for Gen 9. So again, we've got the first 4 Pokemon that I really couldn't even remember their names. They're all unique names. They're really cool Pokemon. Shout out to all 4 of them. I think when I first saw them, I was kind of like, what are these? But they grew on me for sure. I was a little turned off by the slug thing. It's literally like a slug, but also a pile of leaves. I don't know. I think the background lore is really cool. I think the fact that you have to find all the seals and break those portals is a cool concept. But then I'm looking at the second half and I'm like, we've got Koraidon and Miraidon, and then our 2 most recent. I think Koraidon takes this for me because I use it the most. It might be my most used Pokemon online, like with the Terror Raids and stuff, just because it covers so many bases. I really do like all these choices. I think they're great. I don't think you can go wrong with picking any of them. They're so cool. All 8 of these, right? There's 8. I know I had picked Koraidon earlier as my fighting, but it's gonna win my favorite legendary as well. That's really cool. I like it. We're finally coming down to the end of episode 9. Who is my favorite Gen 9 Pokemon? Scarlet and Violet, the Paldean region. Let's wrap this bad boy up. So as we know, when I get to this category, I've got a strong love for these Pokemon. I just went through and explained why I would pick these Pokemon, but now I need to figure out which one I like the most out of all of them. It's arguably the biggest struggle. Yet to come is the all-time favorite Pokemon, which we're going to find out soon enough. But looking at this list, I think I can boil it down to just a couple. Clearly, I have a strong love for Koraidon. It is very viable. It's so cool. I have a strong bond with Koraidon because you got to have the legendary throughout the entire game. It's your like HM Pokemon, essentially. They kind of got rid of HMs and made it more of a utility Pokemon to ride around, to fly, to jump. Your character pretty much grows that strong bond, and I feel like I did by playing with it. So I might give it to Koraidon. I like to try to avoid picking legendaries, and that's, you know, the approach I've taken all the while. But if I don't pick Koraidon, let me just think about who else I would pick. Goldango is hilarious. I love him. Really cool. But then I think aside from Koraidon, I think it would be Iron Valiant because it's just so cool. It's a mix of Gardevoir and Gallade. I don't know if you've like really taken a look at it, but it has aspects of both of those Pokemon, and they're completely separate Pokemon. Obviously, they share a lot of characteristics, but combining them is a sick approach. And then, of course, it's a robot, so it gets that futuristic form. But like the coolest thing about it is it has like that dual blade sword. Like that is so cool. I don't know what the proper word is for it. I'm sure there is. It's not a sword. It's not a spear. It's somewhere in the middle of those two. But I don't know. It would have to be either Koraidon or Iron Valiant. And I think just by the default of me having used Koraidon so much more, I think I'm going to give it to Koraidon. Also, the fact that Koraidon had won multiple votes in this category. Yeah. So recapping, my favorites so far, we've got Gengar, Tyranitar, Gardevoir, Lucario, Excadrill, Aegislash, Mimikyu, Dragapult, and finally Koraidon. So now we've gone through all generations of Pokemon. That's pretty badass. I waited till the last gen to pick a legendary as my favorite. Thank you guys so much for making it this far into the video. As always, if you enjoyed it, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see some more content, whether it's just more of the Pokemon tracker, we're coming up on the end of it, or future videos that I'm putting out, other series that I end up playing. I very much appreciate your time. I'm excited to wrap this bad boy up. I think after this, we technically only have one more episode, so thank you guys, everybody who's been along for this journey. I'm excited to see how this ends, but until episode 10, until we wrap this bad boy up and figure out that finale, I will see you then, my friends. Adios.